It is March 18th of 2022, and this is Guy's Daily Drive. Bam! And good morning, everyone, and welcome to Guy's Daily Drive on this very, very foggy morning. It's not cold and it's not hot. We're like transitioning between those two states. It was certainly much colder before, and it's warming up, and there's a lot of moisture in the air. So, fog, a lot of it. 60, 70 feet. It's even worse now than it was when I first left the house. 60, 70 feet in front of the car, the road disappears. So I hope everybody has their lights on this morning. I know that you're supposed to. What are people doing here? Literally, people are just kind of driving stupid. There we go. Okay. Things have opened up a little bit. I was watching disappointing Star Trek yesterday. And actually, you know what I was going to talk about? Let's talk about Star Trek this morning. Yeah, let's talk about the current crop of Trek shows out there. I've been watching Star Trek Discovery since it first started 4 years ago, and I've watched every episode, and I watch it because it's, and I'm almost ashamed to say this. I watch it because it's Star Trek, because of that brand. Not because I'm particularly enjoying it or that it's adding anything really significant to Star Trek as a series, as a concept, as a long-running TV show. It's just not that good. The special effects are amazing, especially on a TV budget. And let's face it, really great special effects isn't nearly as hard as it used to be. It's just not that hard. I've seen some fan-based Star Trek shows that have amazing special effects. The acting is what it is, but and the writing as well is what it is. But come on, what are you guys doing? But the special effects themselves have been amazing. And then we get to Discovery. And the first season, with everything that they did that changed what was considered Star Trek canon, what they did was stupid. And not just because they made all these big changes, because where they placed the series and how the original setup was. They kind of led into it saying, well, this is going to be about, the major arc is going to be about the war between the Klingons and the Federation before Captain Kirk had captained the Enterprise. And it wasn't going to be on the Enterprise, but on this ship with this amazing new drive that basically ports you from one place to another instantaneously. Now, that part alone made the show problematic based on a lot of the other shows that came after it. And it was never really seriously explained why more ships didn't have this spore drive. You know, it was just so bad, and it would have basically meant that Star Trek Voyager would have taken about 15 minutes instead of 7 years. It would have been like, oh no, we're in the Delta Quadrant. What are we going to do? Well, we'll just use the spore drive and go back. Whoop, and then they'd be back, and you know, all is well. But so you know, just so many mistakes made with this show. They made the Klingons look like pastel weirdos. I don't even know how else to describe it. They didn't act like Klingons. Their ships didn't look like Klingons. Even the Federation ships, you know, they took absolutely no steps to try to meld the look of the older shows and this new show. It was no attempt at all. So Discovery looks like it's about 1,000 years ahead of Kirk's Enterprise from the original series. And you know, and that's fine. I get that. The technology to create these shows change, and people's perception of what starship controls are going to look like change. And remember as well that Star Trek, the original series, didn't exactly have a huge budget for those kinds of things. And it was already like one of the most expensive shows being created during its time. So many problems with Star Trek Discovery. And it was a show that, because it had this overlying long-ass story arc that took place over the course of really 2 seasons, it just meandered and wandered all over the place. And the little bit of fan service that they tried to do, like introducing Harry Mudd, just seemed like a stretch. It didn't seem genuine. Like they were just doing it because here was an interesting character from the past that why not, we'll just go ahead and throw him in here as well. If they had taken the show and set it like past Next Generation, past Voyager, past all of those other shows, a lot of their glaring problems could have been explained, could have been ignored, could have still worked. But they insisted on doing it the way they did. And it's like, okay, so you have a subpar show with people that spend more time talking about their feelings than actually pushing whatever the subject is of the show. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with having feelings. There's nothing wrong with showing that, you know, the way people change and the way that they interact with other people have changed over the course of hundreds of years. But does it have to be every single episode? Does it have to be a major focal point in an episode that does nothing really to drive the story? It's just, oh, we don't have enough tears, you know. And I know people who are listening to the audio can't see this, but one of the expressions that you always saw 4 to 5 times every episode was someone talking to someone else about their feelings, and then the person that they were talking to would kind of tilt their head to one side. It's like, oh, I see. Oh, that's so awful. Don't worry, we'll get through this. You'll be fine. It's like, oh God, please shut up. Just get to whatever the hell it is that you're trying to say, and just stop with this. And it was a reoccurring theme throughout all 4 seasons of Star Trek Discovery. Oh my God. And then they finally get done with all of the story plot lines of the first 2 seasons, including make sure I get this right. Was the 3rd season? All right, the 3rd season was where they brought in Captain Pike, who was the captain of the Enterprise before Kirk. And so you got some beauty shots of the Enterprise and it looked fabulous. It really did. And at the end of the 3rd season, they push him ahead 1,000 years, which is frankly what they should have done in the first place. They push him ahead 1,000 years, and it's still more feelings. It's like, come on. Can we just, I went through 4 seasons of this, and my wife would sit there and say, why are you watching this? It just seems to piss you off. And it's like, it's still Star Trek. Even if it's not very good Star Trek, it's still Star Trek. So I watched it, and I wasn't happy. What are you doing here, Toyota? It wasn't making me happy. It was just not good. So they ended the 4th season last night, or at least I saw the last episode last night. And the whole setup with this alien species that were basically sending out this huge probey thing to gather materials that they needed to do their thing, but in the meantime it was also like destroying large sections of space, and any planets that were in the sphere of this farmy thing were being wiped out. So you had one of the main characters, his entire planet was destroyed, so he's all pissed off, and it's just feelings the whole time. And then they have to figure out a way to talk to it, and apparently it has to do with pheromones and light instead of sound, which was kind of an interesting concept, but the amount of time that they spent over explaining it was not good. And so they finally resolved everything last night. Some people died, nobody of any real significance as far as the series goes. And they wrap it up, and everything is great again. The galaxy is saved, and this Starship Discovery was like first and foremost in it, even though it's a 1,100-year-old starship, and the only thing that's really special about it is the drive. And I'm glad this season is over, and they ended it in such a way that they don't have to make another one. I don't know if they will. I'm hoping that they don't. It needs to stop. Or at least come up with something better than 10, 11, 12 episodes of this. And I watched it. I watched it all. And I'm disgusted with myself for having done so. And so then we come to Star Trek Picard, whose first season was just also not good. It was not a great show. And I kept wanting it to be good because it was characters based off a series that I really, really enjoyed. And I just, at the end of the first season, I ended up just kind of thinking, couldn't they have just let it be? Couldn't they have just left it alone? It wasn't great. And so now we have the second season. And they come back with Q and the Borg, which they had also in the first season. Not too much Q, but the Borg. But the Borg. And time has changed, and Picard is a monster, and Seven is no longer a Borg, and she's president of Monsterville, and they have to go back in time and fix what happened, but they can only go back in time by using a Borg queen that was scheduled for execution. So they spent, like, the entire first episode was all the setup for all of this. And at the end of it, you had your cliffhanger, and then the second episode comes up. They resolve the cliffhanger by basically killing everyone who had gotten in their way, and off they go to the 21st century. So it's like 2 years from now that something happens that makes the Federation an awful place. Or instead of the Federation, it's a confederation. It's mostly Earth. It's kind of the whole mirror thing, but not. I don't really know how to explain it. So, or at least maybe there'll be a better explanation as Picard goes on. And so, will Picard get any better? I don't know. I've watched 3 episodes now, I think. I just watched the 3rd episode last night, along with the last episode of Discovery for this year. I don't know. I want it to be better. And we'll see where they go with it, but I'm not holding out a lot of hope. Now, their Star Trek New Voyages is coming, and that's supposed to be episodic, and we'll see. And hopefully that won't be full of feelings. It will be more along the lines of, can we just tell a good story and leave all the BS? I don't know if they'll be able to do it. I want to believe. Star Trek Lower Decks, which is hilarious and stays within Star Trek canon, is literally the best Star Trek on TV right now, and it's filled with so much weird, but it's literally the best Star Trek on TV right now. And of course, you also have Seth MacFarlane's The Orville, which is also basically Star Trek. And so all of these things are starting to come together. Orville's coming back. It's going to be on Hulu. Star Trek New Discoveries is coming back. Star Trek Lower Decks is coming back. I don't know what other Star Trek... Oh, Star Trek Prodigy, which is okay. It's better than it probably sounded like it was going to be. But we'll see. We'll see where they go with that. I don't know. But Star Trek has mostly been a big bag of hurt. And I want it to be better. I want to watch these shows and enjoy them. And not just feel obligated because it's Star Trek. All right, that's going to do it. If you want to get a hold of me, it's guy@mymac.com or podcast@vertshark.com. vertshark.com is the website where you can see all of the odds and the vids. If you go over to YouTube and like, share, subscribe to the Vert Shark channel, just look it up right there and then like, share, subscribe. It's so easy. I don't know why you haven't already done it. Just go do that thing. The mymac.com podcast that I do every week with Gaz. Of course, we'll be recording a new episode this Sunday, so keep an eye out for that. What else? You can help support the things that I do if you so desire. You don't have to. You can go on over to patreon.com/MacParrot, coffee, ko-fi.com/MacParrot, or pay a pal, like Christopher did. Christopher. Over at PayPal, paypal.me/MacParrot. Yeah, pay a pal. Do it that way. Anyway, I got to go. Thank you all so very, very much for joining me today on Guy's Daily Drive. I really, really do appreciate it. And I'll see all of you next time right here on Guy's Daily Drive. Bye-bye.